The following passage is taken from my new publication, Reflections on the 2020 Scamdemic. Please see the description for links to where you may purchase that publication, either in Kindle form or paperback, for a low, low price. The flipping of the Floyd switch. By June of 2020, it had become increasingly clear to me that the inducement of cognitive dissonance, which is to say, the short-circuiting of the brain, which happens when one is expected to believe two contradictory things at once, must be the name of their game. At least, I concluded, it was one massive prong of their general psychological attack upon the populace, namely, an assault upon collective sanity. In June of 2020, none could justify why it was crucially important for people to remain isolated in their homes, only going out when absolutely necessary to purchase provisions, and then returning ASAP to their domiciles in order to continue their perpetual, quote, shelter in place. And at the same time, why it was now also crucially important to immediately leave your home and gather in a public street in tight proximity with thousands of others in order to signal that one was, quote, on the right side of history. Those who pointed out this obvious contradiction were pointedly ignored, since there really was no good answer to such objections. I will not here speculate whether or not the George Floyd killing was an authentic event or a contrived incident designed to stoke racial tensions and further destabilize a society already tottering on the brink. Whether or not the incident itself was real, there was certainly something synthetic about the rapidity with which the response to the event played out. Suddenly, it was blasted into everyone's consciousness. Within hours, compliant citizens were posting their blackout pictures on social media. Within merely a day or so, they were mobilizing in the streets. The name George Floyd was suddenly everywhere. Cities were burning. Statues were being torn down. But the mayhem was repeatedly declared mostly peaceful by the corporate-controlled media. Then came the proliferation of the BLM logo and the taking a knee gesture performed by pro athletes, once sports started to be played again, all of which were designed to exacerbate racial tension, in concert with the contrived and predictable anti-white rhetoric, which of course was always geared exclusively at middle or working-class whites, and never at the sort of obscenely wealthy and ridiculously powerful white people who had actual power, i.e., those running the PSYOP like Klaus Schwab, or Anthony Fauci, or Bill and Melinda Gates, or Bill and Hillary Clinton, or the Bush family, or the Trudeau family, or Ted Turner, or Angela Merkel, or Jacinda Ardern, or Jeffrey Bezos, or Gretchen Whitmer, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Gavin Newsom, or Emmanuel Macron, or Andrew Cuomo, or any of the rest of the predominantly white cabal of rulers, some of them elected, but most of them unelected, who were spearheading the worldwide lockdown begun in March 2020, as well as orchestrating the mostly peaceful chaos launched in June 2020. I still recall a video posted during the Floyd demonstrations, in which two young men, one black, one white, were on the spot enough to report that a pallet of bricks just happened to show up in a location where a bunch of angry protesters were set to congregate. These two lads weren't counter-protesters. They had joined the demonstration to express solidarity with Floyd and to condemn police behavior. Yet they still had the wherewithal to point out that someone leaving this conveyance filled with bricks in the midst of an emotional protest, and right in front of several buildings with prominent glass windows and doors to boot, was awfully suspicious. It didn't take a genius to see that a conscious attempt was being made to ratchet up the violence through not-so-subtle manipulative tactics. Since these brick pallets were found and pointed out by many, the establishment goons had to dispatch their fact-checkers to lecture us that our eyes ought not be believed, and common sense ought not be practiced. But few, if any, were buying their desperate gambit. To quote Captain Willard from Apocalypse Now, "The bullshit had piled up so high, you needed wings to stay above it."